Hello folks, Reverend Crystal Cox here, and I want to talk to you today about being true to who you are, even if the people you love don't believe in you. Oftentimes, and I've come across it several times this week in my spiritual counseling, that people aren't living the life they want, they're not doing what they want, they're not following through with what they know they want their life to be, because someone they love, whether it be a child or a spouse or a mother or some other relative or some close friend, doesn't think that what they're doing is appropriate, or that it will happen, or that they should be doing it, or they're never going to be able to do it, or whatever these naysayers are saying. Your spiritual mission is yours. If something feels good to you and right to you, it is good for you and it is right for you. It is your spiritual path. If you let go of your focus and your spiritual journey because of what someone else thinks, then you're not doing a service to Spirit, to Goddess, to what it is you came here to do, and you're not being true to yourself. Oftentimes we put our children, our parents, our partners, our spouses in a position of authority over ourselves, in a way of like somehow having more power than we have over ourselves. I always said that, in love, I don't want to have an authority figure and I don't want to be an authority figure. My connection to Spirit is my number one thing. And I know what's right for me health-wise, and I know what's right for me spiritually. Oftentimes, children will convince their parents to take chemo, for example. If their parents believe in alternative medicine, want to go natural, want to go alkaline, they cry and they are so upset because they want their parent to do what the doctor says, because they want their parent to live. And it's based in love. But no matter if it's based in love, you still have to do what's right for you. You pray about it, you get clear answers, you know what feels right for you, and you do that path. And you have to find a way to convince your children, your parents, your lover, that this is my path, this is my choice. And quite often, these examples of the cancer example I just give, most of the time that I've been involved in it, the parents end up dying anyway. They have chemo and radiation, and they go through what their children are comfortable with so that they can try to live, because the children believe they're doctors, even though they know spiritually, emotionally, and what they feel for themselves is right is to go alternative medicine. I've seen this happen so many times. This is just one example. But this last week I had someone talking to me about their spiritual gifts, like their intuition. They're into energy work. They really feel like they're being called to do this more and more. But this gal's husband just didn't believe in it. He's like, you can't make a living at it, even though people do make a living at energy work and spiritual readings. He basically convinced her that it wasn't real, it wasn't valid. And the thing is that, spiritual counseling, intuitive consultants, wellness coaches, life coaches, psychiatrists, counselors, people, they're basically just talking to other people and they're getting paid to do it. It is real. Some people feel like that they don't want to charge people for giving them spiritual advice because they feel like it's like against God somehow. But this is your calling. If it feels good to you and it feels high to you, this is what you should be doing. And most people cannot say, you know what, I'm not going to go against my kids and my spouse and my job and everything I know to be my life to follow what I know is my calling. Now, if your hands get tingly, your body feels light and free, it's almost even like, like a painkiller, like you've just had a really good anti-flam or some sort of painkiller, when you're doing what it is that you know is right for you and is of your highest and best good. That happens to me when I do spiritual readings. When I'm doing good for people, when I say something to them that I know that they need to hear, and it just lights them up and empowers them, and I feel really good about that. I could do some other job for zillions of dollars an hour or a week or whatever, and if it didn't make me feel good, that's not necessarily my calling. Just because something makes you money doesn't mean it's your calling. Just because your spouse approves, or your kids approve, or your parents approve, that does not mean that it is your calling and that it is what you are supposed to do. Okay? Stay focused on your path for you, no matter who disapproves of you, no matter how much they say you need to move on, no matter how much they say they don't believe in what's happening to you, they don't have faith that it's going to happen the way you say it is, and blah, blah, blah. They think you should move on and have a different way of life. You know that you're living the life that Spirit's asked you to live. You know in that moment that you're doing your spiritual calling, and no matter what it is, no matter how weird it seems to someone else, how it doesn't seem valid to them, it doesn't seem like a valid career or a way of life, or some people might say, I live in the real world, and that you don't live in the real world because you're an energy healer, or you're a spiritual advisor, or you're just, you're just living in a way of where money just comes to you when it's needed, and you just have faith, and you just live on faith. And that's happened to me often. I mean, I've been, in that system where I had a house and I had money, and I had a job with plenty of money a month, and I wasn't really happy, but I also wasn't, doing something, metaphysical and spiritual and just intensely connected to Spirit, and that's really where my calling is, and that's really where I want to be. I don't want to be in the world that some people call the real world, the freeways, the jobs, the desk, the having to answer to somebody. I answer to Spirit. I don't answer to man, and I want to live in that way, and I want to help others to live in that way. I understand that. Something the other day, I was watching something that was like, at the end of the day, somebody's got to feed the kids. and it's true. You have to have these jobs. You have to be able to have some sort of predictability. The thing is that, I had that. And I've met so many people that have had, retirement funds or had things that they were certain of. They had security, they had plenty of money, they had a house, and they've lost everything. Due to, even if the house was paid for, some medical problem, something can come out of left field at any time and take away what your illusion of security is. So why not put your faith in Spirit and just trust that if it feels good and it feels right and you know it's right and you're in touch with Spirit on it, that it is the right thing for you. And you could be madly in love with the person, just head over heels in love with the person that does not believe in you. But the thing is that I know it's almost like, Abraham on the mountain or whatever, but you really have to sacrifice that relationship to do what is your calling. So in other words, you have to say, you know what, I would love to be with you, but I need to be true to me. And if that person can't be in your life, they need to move on. And if they're your children, and they're not minors, of course, I'm talking about adult children that judge their parents. Minors is a different story. But with adult children, if they disapprove of you, I've seen so many parents change or alter or suppress who they truly are so they'll meet their kids' approval, or so they can help their kids get along in life and don't necessarily do what their calling is. But you have to just tell your children, look, this is between me and Spirit. This is what I know I want to do for me. And if you can't be in my life because of it, then I understand that. But I'm not going to change my life and do this differently so that you're more comfortable with me. You have to be true to you, and you have to let go like Goddess. It's about your particular calling, your destiny, and no one else can tell you what that is. Okay? The only choice it comes down to that you have is to either be true to yourself or not. You can dress a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way so that you meet the approval of society, of your parents, of your children, of your lover, and basically sacrifice your life for it. A lot of times when people are true to themselves, they end up alone for many years. But the thing is that you're never really alone. I mean, when you're doing the work of Spirit and what Spirit asks you, you're in this deep connection with Spirit. And if the humans around you cannot appreciate, support, or be a part of your journey, then that is of the highest and best good. But you certainly don't want to suppress your journey to the point of massive depression and not be true to who you are because other people don't approve. And a lot of times people are okay with this as long as it's other people that are strangers. and they struggle with it because they want approval from, from everybody, really. They don't want to go down the street and be doing something spiritual and be judged. But it's even harder to take when you're in love with somebody that doesn't believe in you, that doesn't think what you're doing is right or it's going to happen, or your children don't believe in you, or your parents judge you. I mean, it's harder to be judged from within. But you have to realize that they're all just people, whether they're friends, blood, family, someone you're in love with. They're not your destiny. They don't know your destiny. They aren't connected to spirit in the same level that you are. They don't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you, and your choice is to either do that or suppress that. So anyway, just wanted to visit with you folks about that. Goddess bless you, and I'll talk to you real soon.